Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kat. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I am good. Cannot complain. Life is good.
Yeah. No, we cannot complain. Life is actually sort of becoming normal again here in Nashville. Starting to open back up little by little. Kind of scary.
Yeah, it really stresses me out, actually.
It does, yeah. We went to the store yesterday, and they're still being super cautious. You know, about 50% capacity is allowed in, but lots of people like not wearing masks or gloves or anything.
Nobody wears masks. It's so crazy. I don't understand what's going on. I don't get it. Oh my gosh.
No,
I'm so stressed out all the time.
Absolutely. It's scary. It's scary because like we try to be careful, but I'm afraid that we're going to see the numbers climb in the next week or two because of it.
Me too.
But we'll see. But anyway, today we have a great show. We've got two guests on today, and that is Josh and Vivi Shanks from Watchonista. We got to meet them while we were in California last year, and we're honored to have them on the show today. How are you guys?
We're good. How are you?
Hi. Doing great.
Hi.
You guys hanging in there?
Yeah, we're good. We're calling you from New York City, so things are slightly different here in New York than they are down in Tennessee. But yeah, no, it's good. We just got done with our weekly grocery run and full masks and gloves here, and trying to help flatten the curve and stop the spread. But New York's kind of an interesting place. But at least this morning we had a cool flyover from the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Man, that's so cool. Did they do that just to have a show to put on at this point in time?
No, they were doing this to thank all the frontline workers that are working tirelessly against the virus at the moment, knowing, of course, here in New York, it's kind of an epicenter from itself at this point. So it was a way, I think, to lift the spirits of everybody, because it's extremely rare to see those two amazing teams flying together.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic.
I think that they're doing like a U.S. tour, if I remember correctly. And I think they were supposed to be in Nashville later this week, but I think because of the weather that we have coming in, it had to be postponed.
Yeah, I think they said 15 cities or something, so it should be interesting.
Yeah, something like that. So it's cool. I always grew up, we have Smyrna Air Force Base really close to here, so they do a lot of air shows. So I've been to a lot of them. It's always really cool, and it's inspiring. And I have to say, honestly, New York City is one of these cities that I did not expect to react to the virus as well as you guys did. Everybody I know who's in the city, pictures I see, genuinely, you guys are social distancing and staying indoors, and it is phenomenal to see that, because it's so different than the way that it's being taken here.
Yeah, I think that they were very proactive in it, and it's one of the major travel hubs, so I think they tested all the strains, and they're finding that most of the COVID that's in the U.S. came from Europe, and especially this is a major European hub here in New York. But everyone talks about the population density, but there's also a variety of other factors that seem to kind of go into it. But the mass transit definitely helped spread a lot of it, and yeah, it's a weird situation. But I think New Yorkers are strong, we're resilient, and I think that everyone started taking it more seriously after the death toll kind of surpassed 9/11, and I think New Yorkers that was kind of the last moment that we bonded together through this. And that's the one cool thing about New York. I've lived here for 14 years. Moved here actually from Indiana, so I was kind of a neighbor of yours back in the day. I always expected it to be that caricature of what you see on television of these very crass New Yorkers that are cursing and swearing and just mean, but it actually the level of compassion and the level of care and empathy that you see in New York is it's kind of unmatched anywhere else. I love the city.
That's really phenomenal. It's actually been surprising here because you hear about the South and everybody being very generous and kind, and we have seen some of that. We were hit with tornadoes right before coronavirus hit, and everybody was kind of coming together and working as a team, and then it kind of stopped as soon as the virus hit here, and everybody unfortunately is not acting as they should and taking the same precautions as they really need to be. But yeah, like I said, we've had friends in New York, and they are pushing through. Are the numbers going down any there?
No, I mean, I don't think they're really going down anywhere in America. I think the minute they go down, I mean, it seems like the next day they kind of spike back up. So I think that we're still kind of at that peak of the curve. And, I know a lot of people are very anxious to reopen things, and, as are we, as are, everyone. I mean, we kind of want life to get back to normal. We'd love that. But, hopefully we, get on the other side of that mountain and the numbers start going down. But I think that, here in New York, we're under stay-at-home orders until the end of May, and that's pretty strict stay-at-home. And so I think there's a lot of other folks that are motivated to get businesses going again, and I totally get that. But, let's see. Now, unfortunately, we're not going to be the guinea pigs in this thing, so we're staying home. we got plenty of supplies, plenty of wine, plenty of food. We're good to go.
There you go.
All the essentials, then you're good.
Yeah.
Oh man, of course. Well, so before we start the show, let's do a quick wristwatch check with you guys, and then we'll kind of have you each tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Cool. Well, I'm it's very hard to show you my watch through a podcast, but I'm actually in honor of the last time that we met each other, I'm wearing the Zodiac Seawolf Topper Edition, the blue piece that with the rally that Rob hooked us up with. And Vivi?
Well, this will come as no surprise to anyone, as I am still wearing my root beer and I'm still in the honeymoon phase, even though the watch will have a year on my wrist next month, I think.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
I've barely been wearing anything else.
I feel like that's a pretty solid watch to wear, right? I would honeymoon with that one for a while, I think.
What do you guys got on?
Kat, what are you wearing?
I'm actually wearing the Oris Big Crown Pointer Date, so I know we're gonna have to send these watches back to Oris pretty soon. And so I'm like, all right, I gotta live with it a little bit longer. So I've got it on today and taking some pictures of it. But yeah, what about you, Caitlin?
I have the Speedmaster on today, so because I was taking pictures with it earlier. So and it's Tuesday. You have to, right? Yeah. I think that's like it's in a contract somewhere when you buy a Speedmaster is that you have to wear it on Tuesday. So
yeah, it is written.
What day of the week it is?
Instagram hashtags. The only reason I know, like that's it. If it weren't for Instagram, I would have no idea.
I know. Thank God for hashtags. They do help quite a bit. Let's go to you, Josh. Let's tell our listeners just kind of who you are, your background, and maybe kind of how you got started with Watchonista, and then maybe Vivi do the same thing.
Sure, yeah. So, Josh, hi. Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm a watch addict. 38 years old, enjoys long walks on the beach, lives in New York City.
Nice.
Sadly, I'm taken. Not sadly.
Sadly.
This is going to end terribly for me. So yeah, Josh, I'm the managing editor for Watchonista. We're a global online magazine dedicated to the world of watchmaking and watches. We were founded in Switzerland 10 years ago by two gentlemen, Alexander Friedman and Marco Cabella. They were two Swiss-Italian gentlemen that were super passionate about watches, cars, and in that world. And, shortly into their 20s, they decided, I really want to launch a social media network for watch enthusiasts. And this was right about the same time as Facebook, and probably slightly ahead of the curve there in terms of digital. I mean, back in the day, they launched this 10 years ago. As a couple months ago, it'll be 10 years that Watchonista has been in existence. And the overall concept is to really bring a social media network together for watch enthusiasts, collectors, and brands, and allow everyone to kind of a central platform to communicate. I think that slightly ahead of its time. And the guys, I remember them telling stories how they were driving to the manufacturers, and they're like asking the manufacturers for catalogs and asking for any kind of materials that they could get because they wanted to put them online and make them digital. And the manufacturer's like, well, what are you going to do with this information? They're like, we're going to put it online. Like, why would people want to read about watches online? And they're like, because we think it's a really fun idea, and there's a whole new generation of collectors that have the internet. And the watch brands back in the day were very even reluctant to hand away a catalog, and no one had websites. Even Paddock just launched their website a few years back. So, so the guys started this, and I think that the social media network side of it was probably ahead of its time, but what they quickly found was the editorial side of it, and this editorial community that had existed within print media and then was slowly working into blogs, slowly working into online medias. And so they really transformed Watchonista to be an online media. Now, Watchonista was started, around the same time as some of our other friends like Houdenki and a few others. And so, back then, 10 years ago, it was all this one jolly bunch of a handful of guys and gals that were writing about watches online, including Watchonista. And pardon me if I'm just, going on too long. So, that was the overall concept of it. And, Watchonista enjoyed this really privileged access to manufacturers and, brands and CEOs and executives. And so, that was kind of the centerpiece of, kind of Swiss watch media was Watchonista. And we were, they definitely had an overwhelming sense of community, worked with a lot of others. But what really kind of set Watchonista apart quickly was brands started to understand that Watchonista had knowledge about digital. And so brands would come to Watchonista and like, great, we know you guys have an online magazine. We know what you're doing there. That's cool. And we're definitely going to, give you novelties for review and, talk about that. And there's always an advertising component. But a lot of brands needed help on digital. So Watchonista went and founded Watches Network Agency. And this agency actually ended up being a digital communication agency for watch brands and retailers.
Okay.
And so, we were the global digital agency for Tudor. So helping launch Tudor into social media and websites and helping with content creation. And that's kind of just spurned a whole new business. So Watchonista is certainly an online magazine dedicated to watches. We still are, great social media following. But we also have another, creative studio now component that we use. I joined the company about 3 years ago, really around today, if we were going to be in Basel next week. And with that, I was previously, just a collector and enthusiast, a huge fan of watches, and I'd always been a writer. So back even when I was in high school, I had a blog that ended up getting purchased by Mac Rumors. And basically I wrote about salacious Apple rumors. And I was always a big fan of technology. And I went to a really terrible arts college in Indianapolis, and I tried to make it as a graphic designer. I realized I wasn't talented at all. So I ended up leaving that, and I got a job at the Apple Store. And I worked at the Apple Store for 6 years. Apple is what got me to New York. I worked in retail and corporate, and that kind of led to then a career in technology, which ended up, 2016, 2017 at a high frequency hedge fund. And I was managing all the technology infrastructure at this like quant trading firm where we would, trade all, basically buy, sell short stocks and, in like a low latency fashion. So you could do thousands of trades a second, basically. And I was managing all the technology for that. But I was really into watches, and I was super passionate about it. I started writing for IW magazine and professionalwatches.com. And I started going to SIHH, and I started going to Basel World. And, that definitely this passion, I wanted this to become my day job. And so, what was it, Viv? In late 2016, I want to say. Yes. I quit my day job, cold turkey. Wow. And I was talking to this Swiss girl that I met on Instagram, who's now sitting next to me and who's now my wife. But I, had this massive passion for it, and I wanted to, find a way to get into the watch industry. And I ended up quitting my day job, went in, and I was like, great, I'm just not feeling it anymore. I was spending more time going to watch events, more time going to manufacturers, going to Switzerland to see Vivi, traveling and writing about watches. And I was like, well, I'm not even passionate about this job at all anymore. And and so basically I quit. I booked a one-way ticket to Switzerland, to stay with Vivi, not knowing how long I'd be staying there. I did make the wonderful decision to sell, my 5711 and my 15202. So I was like, great, I'm going to sell a couple watches. I'll bank some money so I don't have to come out of my savings. I guess those watches have gone up in value, but
like the double.
Yeah,
but yeah,
just a little. Okay.
But yeah, so I did that and went to Switzerland, and I'd been talking, we'd worked previously with Watchonista. I'd worked with Alex and Marco on a couple little freelance editorial projects. And when I was in Switzerland, I posted that I was there, and Alex just sends me a message. He's like, what are you doing here? And it's like, oh, I'm just, here visiting this girl that I'm dating, but I don't know. Let's see where things go. And he's like, we should talk. And so we ended up going for, I think we went for horse, actually. We went to, what did you call it over there?
Well, it's just,
What do you call it?
it's horse. It's
What's it
horse
called?
meat.
What's the French word?
Cheval.
Cheval. Yes. So it sounds so much fancier when you're saying cheval instead of we ate horse.
Yeah, no, this is like blasphemy for many people here in the US and in Europe. But yeah, we do love our cheval meat. over there.
Yes, cheval sounds great. Let's keep it cheval.
Interesting.
And yeah, so we did that, and the guys let me know that one of their biggest areas of traffic was really from the United States, and that they'd wanted to launch in the US, and that my name kept coming up from a few brands, and then basically. We agreed to go into business together to become their U.S. partner to launch Watchonista in the U.S. That was 3 years ago, and then we shook on it, and I actually ended up taking the Queen Mary from London back to New York. And so I sailed from like London to New York, and in that 7 days I was there, I made a business plan, and I got back to New York. I mailed it to him, and I waited like a month, and I didn't hear anything. And apparently, the board of directors was deciding everything, and then they let me know, and then we launched Watchonista here in the U.S. and the rest is history. We're 8 people full time here in Manhattan. Obviously, our office is closed, and we're all working from home right now. But I'd say we've never been busier. It's still a super important time for digital, a super important time for people to learn about watches online, and our traffic has definitely increased. Social media has gone berserk, and now we're doing all this crazy Instagram live stuff. So, I'm sorry, that's my verbose answer, Vivi.
You said it all. Well, I have quite a different story from Josh. I was born in Portugal and moved to Switzerland when I was 4 years old. Switzerland is the country of chocolate, banks, secrecy, and of course watches. And after I finished school, I was in a professional school, and I was not liking it at all. What I was doing was I was coding websites and coding programs, and I was really bad at it because if you do like a bad line of coding, you have to start everything again. So I was kind of really bad at it, and my teacher actually was feeling bad for me, and he was like, "Hey, I have a client that would like to have an intern in their company." I'm like, "Yeah, well, sure, why not? I'll rather go to a company than being at school and being terrible inside of school and not learning anything."
Yeah.
And turns out the company was Audemars Piguet, and I had no idea what Audemars Piguet was. Back in the day, I just knew Swatch and Rolex because I was I was from a Portuguese family, and luxury is not our kind of thing. So I was like, Swatch is like amazing watches, and Rolex is like for the richest of the richest people. So, 16 years old me completely thinking that. And I'm like, okay, I go to Audemars Piguet, and I start working there with the watchmakers. I start working there with like the HR and everything. So I was really mingling with everyone, and my office was inside a watchmaking atelier. And there was these old watchmakers. They were like, "Hey, Viviana, come and see. Let me show you how it works." And I was like, "Oh, damn, that's like really cool. Like how you put those little pieces together, and like how it actually does tick-tock at the end." Like I was like very impressed. So I start like researching a bit more and everything. Of course, I started being more and more passionate about watches. I kind of started I was at Audemars Piguet, so I started having a rivalry with the people from Jaja-Lecoultre that was like in a village next door. Because it's very incestuous kind of industry, because everyone is most of the people watchmaking companies are in La Vallée Dieu, and so we will take the train with all the other people from the companies, and we're like, "Oh my god, we can't talk to him. He's from Jaja-Lecoultre. Oh, he's from Vacheron. We should not talk to him." So it was very like kind of college kind of style. Anyway, after 6
Still is, right?
Still is. It still is very much. Just so we know, at the end of my years at La Vallée Dieu, I was friends with everyone from like Vacheron, Audemars, Patek, everyone. Anyways, after 6 months, I had to leave, and I was lacking something very important to actually succeed in any industry by myself. I was incapable of speaking English. back in the day, the designer for Audemars Piguet, Octavio Garcia, which is the one that kind of like made the royal oak even more famous, was like, oh, Viviana, you'll get into nowhere because you don't speak English. And I was like, I took it very personally. And when I left Audemars Piguet, I actually moved to England because I was like, I'm not going to let someone tell me I won't succeed. So I went to England not knowing how to say I was hungry. And I became I became an au pair. Yeah, it was kind of like really terrible because I arrived to England, I was becoming an au pair, and my host mother picked me up at the airport, and I was like barely speaking English. I was like, hi, how are you? That's it. Like, that's how I knew it. And she was like, in the car, are you hungry? And I was like, I don't know what that means. So she had to stop the car, and back in the day, you could not translate on your phone. So she took a dictionary that she had on the car, and she looked into the dictionary and she translated in French for me, and I felt terrible. I was like, okay. She took me to McDonald's, and I was like, okay, well, I understand that hungry now means I need food. So for like,
what'd you order?
I don't know. I just remember I was so ashamed.
Your first meal in England.
Yeah, I was so ashamed because she was like the super like tall, athletic British woman, and she was like, "I'm hungry." I'm like, "What?" Anyways, all that to say, I had to take care of two little monsters that were actually adorable. And the fact that nobody was speaking French around me made me learn English real fast. Like in 3 months, I could like have a normal conversation with anyone. And after a year, well, I had, I guess, a very good, decent leveling of English. So when I came back to Switzerland, I had Gégère Lecoultre kind of running after me like, hey, you were working at AP. Would you like to come and work with us? And I was like, oh, wow. Gégère Lecoultre, you guys are the enemy. And because back in the day, like, I told Marc Piguet, we're like, oh yeah, like, you know, Gégère Lecoultre. And I was like, oh, well, Gégère Lecoultre are the enemy. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I kind of want to stay in the watch industry. Like, those guys are cool. They make cool stuff. So I was like, yeah, why not? And my first week at Gégère Lecoultre, since I was the only apprentice knowing how to speak 5 languages, they sent me to an event where we would meet with like, we were meeting with like the clients, the very high-end clients and everything. And I had to explain like how the reversal works and everything. And I was like, I've been working in a company for 3 days. For me, you guys were the enemy. How do you want me to explain stuff? So I managed to explain, and I managed like to actually sell a couple watches, which was cool. Like, I was in the offices as an apprentice, so selling watches is a cool thing. And then I was starting to talk with Christian Laurent, which is one of the head of, now is the head of complications for Gégère Lecoultre. And it made me feel way better about choosing my passion, following my passion, on watches, because he had so much passion on his voice telling me how the zero tourbillon works and how long it takes and why he does this and everything, that it made me feel like, this is exactly where I belong. So I worked there for 3 years, worked in product development. I worked in the social media side as well. Back in the day, they were launching Gégère Lecoultre on social media. It was like very early days of Instagram. So it was like a very miniaturous thing, and how to do this, like, you know, they're completely different from what we do today. It was like, oh, we need these absolute pictures that look exactly the same. Very weird, but that worked. And then that was it for Gégère. I changed. I went to a smaller company called Sharial, and then I was working with the Chinese market and everything, and I needed a bigger challenge than this. So I was like, you know what? I've done manufacture. I've done every kind of department possible, except everything watchmaking related, because I do not have the patience that they have. And I respect the watchmakers so much because they have so much patience to put the little things together.
Yes, they do.
And I was like, okay, I need a bigger challenge. And I really want to have a 360 degrees vision of this industry. So I kind of took a downgrade. I went to work from like managing the Chinese market for a company. I went to Mont Blanc to work on the boutique, which for me was definitely not a downgrade. My family thought so. I was like, no, it's great. I want to know exactly how it works from every side. So one day when I'm like managing something, I'll be like, if I'm in front of a problem, I'll be like, I have been there and I know exactly what to do to resolve this problem.
Right.
And this was my objective back in the day. And then I met a cool dude that I've been talking for quite a while.
What's his name?
My name is just Josh Shanks. Prepare to die. Well, we start talking and everything, and ended up moving to the US. And here I am. Now I work at Watchonista alongside my husband, Josh. I do all the social media management, and I am also an editor. I try to write as well as I can.
You do good.
Oh,
You done good.
Right.
Well, that's very kind. Thank you.
No, I think it's so cool because you literally have experience in every aspect of a watch manufacturer. Like, you get to learn about movements from watchmakers, which is so cool. And not from like any watchmakers, but from watchmakers of some of the most prestigious brands, which is, I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. I had no idea that your history was that extensive.
No, not at all.
Yeah, she knows way more about watches than I do. I mean, you worked at Audemars Piguet, Jaeger, and Mont Blanc.
I was at Chariol. I did a bit of everything, but I mean, I try not to talk too much about it because people forget. Like, they were like, "Oh, how is it like?" Or "Can you tell us the secrets?" And I'm like, "No."
I think the only thing we have in our relationship is one of the products she designed or was on the team for at JLC was this geophysic world timer. And it was like the last major watch that I bought when I was in finance, and I had a bonus. I was like, I'm going to buy this watch, and it was like obscenely expensive for what it is. And I bought it, and then like they dropped the price like 2 times, right? And then like right before I started dating Vivi, I was like, I bought this watch, and they've already dropped the price. And Viv's like, yeah, and I'm like, but they dropped the price. I'm so upset.
Like, I worked on it.
Yeah.
Can you keep it?
Yeah.
Right. She's like, you can't sell that.
Yes, I can never talk trash about that watch because every time I do, she's like, gives me like the side eye. It's like, I was on that watch and you're never selling that watch. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like my baby. All the geophysic, back in the day, we were working on the revival of the geophysic, and all the design tweaks, and like the fact that there was a US edition and then a European edition, like all those kind of like little things, like they came from someone's brain, and that brain was mine. So keep it.
No, that's awesome. And Vivi, yeah, you shouldn't like your writing on Watchonista is amazing. I always like reading your articles because I can always kind of like tell your sense of humor sometimes in your articles. So I do really appreciate it, and I love it. I think you're doing a great job too.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm very surprised that your team is so small. I feel like in my head you guys have like 20 or 30 people, and when Josh, you said earlier, I think you said you had 8.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
that's in the U.S. I mean, in Switzerland we have 14
That's
people.
in the U.S. Yeah.
So we are a pretty large global team. So we are in the 20 range if you count globally and management and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, we kept it small. We kept it fairly nimble. I mean, we have to wear a lot of hats. I mean, I kind of say to everyone, I mean, you're going to be a janitor one day, you're going to do social media the next day, you're going to be writing articles, you're going to be doing this event or that event if events ever come back.
Oh wow!
But it's cool. I mean, I've never had a dull day here, that's for sure. You're always doing something different, and it's the first time that I've actually done a job that I'm like truly passionate about. So like when I wake up in the morning, and you always hear that old like cliche of like, oh, if you get a job that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But it is work. It is very hard work. It can be stressful, and it can break you. But at the end of the day, it's also something that we're still so passionate about. And I've always been this type of person that's always had multiple passions and hobbies and whatnot. And, from like, I got my pilot's license when I was 16. I was like massively into model rocketry and RC cars. And my dad was crew chief for a sprint car team. And I got into racing, and I'm still into racing. But like, I've always done these random things. And my parents, like, God love them, they always supported me in all this. And like, okay, Josh wants to be an astronaut this month. Okay, great. We're going to do that. Or, okay, no, Josh, okay, what do you want to be now? I don't think you want to be a trash man, but we'll give it a shot. And it's like all these
Why
like
not?
random
You can take
things.
the trash
like,
out every night. Why not?
Yeah, I love my mom because she's supported me throughout. My dad's been my best friend in that whole journey, so it's been fun.
The story about him wanting to be a trash man is a real story that his mom has been so happy to tell me countless times, and I still love to hear it.
Yeah. So what happened that you no longer wanted to be a trash man?
I don't know, because I always had this fascination with like where the garbage goes, and I think when I was a kid, I was watching this. Was it like I think of DuckTales? Viv and I were watching a couple episodes of DuckTales.
Man, you're really throwing it back.
And there was like this episode where like they're little gerbils or hamsters or whatever, like
they're gerbils.
Yeah, they get stuck on this thing. I mean, it was American Tail. I don't know, one of these old cartoons, and they get stuck on this like big trash barge, and it's going out into the Hudson. It's going up the Hudson, right? And they passed the Statue of Liberty and everything like that. I'm like, that's fascinating about what happens to garbage. And then I kept seeing the trash man going, and then I would like randomly start throwing my toys in the trash just to see like, okay, I mean, and this is back before electronics, so like I think I threw a walkie-talkie in the trash once to see if it would like bring me back or something like that, because I really needed an inside scoop on where all this trash went. And then I think I lost my fascination with that around, I mean, I was pretty young, and then I wanted to become, and then, okay, so then I watched this movie, The Right Stuff, with my dad, and I was massively enamored by Chuck Yeager, and Chuck Yeager like quickly became my childhood hero. And then I wanted to become an Air Force test pilot. And so I got my pilot's license. I did the whole Air Force Academy thing, but they were only giving one nomination per town. And I grew up in this small town called Kokomo, Indiana. And, but my best friend at the time, we're no longer best friends, unfortunately. His dad was like the sheriff in town. So his dad got the nomination. So he got the nomination to the Air Force Academy, and I didn't, but I think it worked out in the end. Yeah. But that's from trash truck to Air Force. Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
It's a very natural progression.
So this was a very beautiful insight on Josh's childhood.
Feel free to cut as much as you need.
Right. I learned so much. In 30 minutes, I've learned so much more than I've ever learned on you guys' website as far as about y'all. Oh my gosh.
Well, you two are certainly not doing too bad for yourselves at this point.
It's been fun. I mean, I think that Watchonista, we just try to be something slightly different. We're massive fans of other medias as well, and I think that we all play in the same sandbox. But we just try to be just normal people, accessible, no ego. What you see is what you get. We try to approach our editorial and our coverage slightly differently. I mean, I think that if you look elsewhere, you see a new model come out at 9 a.m. on a Monday, and you go to every website and it's the same article about the same watch with the same pictures and the same title. And then you go to Watchonista and they're like, oh, here's Queen Elizabeth's watch collection.
Bonjour.
So it's just...
your articles are so cool. Like, just the topics that you go through. And like you said, it is like we all get the same press releases. So, we're all putting out most of the same information. But yeah, it's so fun to see something different pop up from Watchonista. Like, every time I'm on Instagram in the mornings, I like to see like what Watchonista has posted, because it's always just totally different from what everybody else is doing.
That's kind of the goal.
Absolutely.
I mean, you still have to kind of toe the company line, and there's still going to be releases that we write about, and there's still going to be that. I mean, we try not to cover any product without having original imagery. That's very hard to do nowadays because you can't get access to the product. But yeah, just trying to kind of go our own way.
Yeah. And you guys cover like a lot of crazy events. Like, and so you guys were at the Emmys, right?
Yeah, that was kind of the last major thing we went to. We went to the Grammys with Bulova, and we were the only watch media that went, and it was amazing.
That is so cool.
It was totally
out of this world, I would say.
And we're both massive music fans, and we got to I think we both have a crush on Billie Eilish, we got to see her, and Demi Lovato did this did this amazing new song.
Yeah, it got us all to tears.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we're kind of, you know, the job definitely, you know, we have the privilege of doing some really cool things and, you know, following a lot of other random sub passions. Like, I mean, you know, I'm massively into racing and Formula One and IndyCar and NASCAR. And then I've been able to like actually, luckily all these drivers and all these race car drivers have sponsorships from watch brands, or they have relationships with watch brands or ambassadorships. So I've interviewed, you know, Mario Andretti and Lewis Hamilton and Jimmy Johnson and that's been so cool to be able to, you know, talk to these guys.
Well, I think that's one of the cool things about watches in general is it ties in so many different hobbies all in one. Like people who are watch enthusiasts are typically some form of car enthusiasts and typically into, like we all have so many of the similar hobbies. So it gives you the opportunity to really kind of embrace all of that. I mean, if you wanted to be an astronaut, I'm sure you've been to Kennedy Space Center a time or two with Omega or with Watchonista or, you know, however. So it's definitely really cool to be able to mix everything.
Yeah, no, I was at the was it last year or the year prior? I went to the 50th anniversary of the Speedmaster at Cape Canaveral, and you know, George Clooney was there, Charlie Duke, all these old Apollo astronauts were there. You know, we dined underneath the Saturn V. Like, I mean, just a completely bonkers experience that you kind of look around the room and you have to pinch yourself and you're like, I do not belong here. I always say, you know, I feel like a kid at the adults table at most of these things because everyone's way more experienced than I am. They're way more talented than I am. But it's just really, really cool to be there.
Yeah. Hey, but we need to know what everybody's wearing on the wrist. So you are well needed there.
Yeah, I think it might be a professional deformation. Is that, if that's the word? Like the first thing we notice when we look at movies or people in the streets and whatnot, we have our eyes going straight to their watches, like straight away.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, look at him, he's wearing this. And oh, look at him, he's wearing that. And well, the other day we were watching this movie on Netflix with Chris Hemsworth. And we are like, oh my God, he's wearing a G-Shock. Blasphemy.
Well, it's blasphemy because, you know, Chris Hemsworth is a Tag Heuer ambassador. So then we like message our friend Taylor that works at Tag Heuer. And we're like, Taylor, just so you know, I'm reporting Chris Hemsworth.
You might need to rethink this contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's so funny. I think we all are so guilty of that too. Like I have to remember people by their watches because I really don't remember their names anymore. It's terrible. So.
Or their Instagram names.
Oh yeah.
But I could tell you your watch. That's it.
Yeah, like Josh said, the Instagram handle. I know a lot of Instagram handles, but I'm not so good on the name part.
Name tags need to be a thing.
Josh and I both changed Instagram handles when we started dating because Josh was Orology and Technology and I was Linda Zinga, which made no sense, by the way. Yeah. So Josh Shanks changed to Josh Shanks.
Yeah, but I think with you is like all these. I still can't believe like all the random dudes that just like slide into your DMs.
Yeah, even now that I'm married and everything.
I mean, you guys, I'm sure you guys see it too, right? Like you're a girl and you're into watches. Mine.
Yes.
And I think we talked about
I'm dealing with this today, so
yeah. We were sharing screenshots this morning.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, just know that if you slide into the DMs, screenshots get sent to like everybody. So you take your own risk. And I don't blur out your name. So
oh man, that's brutal.
Take that risk.
Yeah, I started like either blocking them or like I had a lot of food fetishes, and I think you guys, we were talking about this last time we saw each other. And they're like, oh, beautiful shoes. Oh, can you show more of your shoes? How about those feet? And I'm like, oh. It's great.
Oh, it's literally like you're in my DMs today.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Oh, it happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I followed you, Vivi, and because I do remember when you did change over when you started with Watchonista, because I remember you posted your account was pretty much a lot of wrist shots, I remember, and it still is for the most part too.
I try to do that thing. I'm trying to create as much as possible my Instagram page, but I've been taking care of a couple of Instagrams at the same time, so I've kind of let my page and not take as much love as it should. But I've been trying to curate the pose shot, so the pose like
what you mean is, okay, so she doesn't call them her feet, she calls it her paws.
it's way cute.
So I think you're saying paw shot?
Paw shot.
Paw
I'm sorry,
shot,
my
yeah.
accent's so bad. And I'm trying to do this thing where, I don't know if you look at my Instagram right now, you would see that I'm trying to do, okay, the same pause, and then I'm doing a red line. So that means that every 2 shots, I'm trying to have a red outfit. So it makes a red line on my Instagram. So this is what I'm trying to do. But like back in the day, I used to do just wrist shots, and like, I would do like in front of something and whatnot. But I noticed I get way more engagement and way more likes if I do the same wrist shot all over again, but with different outfits, which is very weird, but that works. But I need to post more. Thanks for reminding me, girls.
Yeah. This job of ours really gets in the way of us posting to our personals. Huh?
Yeah, right.
No, I mean, as you know, because you run the Watchonista Instagram account, it's like it's a complete job, especially when you're trying to manage your own plus another one. I know the 10 and 2 account. There's so many DMs, so many responses and comments, and we honestly we try to respond to everybody, and it'll take up a whole day if you let it, for sure.
Yeah, and you kind of have like, for the algorithm to work properly, you kind of have like to respond like in an hour, otherwise your post will actually get in the feed, which is super weird. So the more quicker you respond, like the more your post is likely to appear. But this is like part of the conspiracy theories that I keep reading everywhere. But I don't know if it works.
I tell you, like, our house looks like that guy, that meme where the guy's like against that big board trying to explain the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, we've got all these things plastered. We're like, no, Instagram changed this. No, you have to post at 7 a.m., not 7:30. Oh no, I think it's this. No, oh, did you see what that guy did? Oh, why doesn't that guy have the blue badge?
So we kind of like reading, like as you guys know, like you're on it too, like it's kind of like an everyday job. You have like to read the latest news on Instagram and how to get the better engagement, and like you read like 50 different websites with 50 different opinions, and you're like, I guess I'll try that. We'll see. Maybe that works. And yeah, there was like a couple months ago, they were like, oh, if you post more than 2 times on Instagram, your feed goes completely, like it disappears completely from the page of your followers. And I'm like, but I kind of have to post more than twice a day. So
right.
Oh man, those dang Instagram gods. What are we gonna do?
There's no winning.
Yeah, but what's I mean, the question is, what is the next thing? And I hope to God it's not TikTok, because I feel like there's this like meme the other day of like the Golden Girls sitting around a table and like 30-year-olds trying to explain TikTok.
Do you guys have a TikTok? Are you on TikTok?
No, yet.
Well, honestly, no. I started a TikTok because I saw all these ads were coming up and like, TikTok, that looks cool. And I downloaded it, and then it was just like a bunch of 14-year-old kids dancing. And I was just like, I don't think this is for me.
How long ago was that? Because since quarantine, now it's a bunch of millennials on there. So the age limit has increased a bit. But yeah, TikTok is kind of the hero of quarantine, I feel like of quarantine boredom. TikTok and Tiger King.
Oh yeah, Tiger King.
Yeah, I mean we've over here we got an Xbox luckily before quarantine. I'm on my 3rd season of Formula 1 2019.
Help.
I won the world championship twice with Ferrari. We're with McLaren right now.
Help.
We're doing really well. My team needs me after this call.
Help.
And then we've watched 72 episodes of Superstore.
SOS.
We've a lot of 90 Day Fiance.
Bless you.
90 Day Fiance is legit.
Oh my god, girls, if you haven't started watching it, I would really advise, because the drama is actually worth it.
But you have to understand,
Really?
there's like multiple seasons.
Did you watch Love is Blind?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Love is
Oh,
Blind
yeah.
was like day 2.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we finished that day
was
2.
insane.
Yeah, that was bonkers.
Oh, wow.
But what even more bonkers though, because when you're looking at like the 90 Day Fiance like ecosystem, there's 90 Day Fiance, but then there's all these other like sub series of it. So there's 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, which follows the people after the 90 days. Then there's Before the 90 days, and there's all these other like breakout shows.
Wow.
And we've been watching, what is it, Before the 90 days?
We watched Before the 90 Days and Happily Ever After.
Yeah, so we did season 1 of Happily Ever After, and then we're on season 4 of Before the 90 Days, and there's this guy named Big Ed from San Fran and Rosie from the Philippines. He's like this 54-year-old man that is desperately trying to human traffic a young Filipino woman.
Also, he has no neck.
And it is just, it's painful to watch, but it's also hilarious. And I mean, my gosh, yeah.
It's difficult. You know, when something's happening and you really can't do anything and you can't look away?
It's a train wreck.
Exactly what that is.
I am going to binge watch it. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I feel like I'm going to add that to my list.
I mean, that is the one thing, and we've been doing a lot, with ourselves, and we have a lot of, so Watchonista has a lot of contributors as well, and one of our contributors, Rhonda, up in Canada, she's our editor at large in the Canadian market, and she was watching a lot of Netflix, so she's been like putting together almost like a weekly article on like all the watches she saw on Netflix. But one of the things that we really wanted to do, I'm like, listen, like we're all watching Tiger King. This was a month ago, right? Back when things were really, interesting. But we're all watching Tiger King, and I'm like, we need to do a profile on all the watches of Tiger King. And so we did this massive profile on Tiger King, and I couldn't get it past the editorial board. I'm like, guys, I've got this amazing article on Tiger King, and they're like, we're not publishing this.
We really tried to sell it like 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's going to be a super cool Friday Fun article. No.
Yeah, but the thing was, it was like, Tiger King may be addictive, but the watches are terrible. I think that was like actually the article title, because like, I mean, it's
that
like,
should have been the title of the article.
That was the title of the article. And like, but the problem is like, there were some major brands in there, and we were trying to pass up like, well, we don't know if this guy's really wearing that kind of watch, but maybe we'll just call it a fake.
Yeah.
But like,
What was he wearing in it? Because I've heard it was a Citizen maybe, and then I've heard different things.
yeah, well, when you look back at it, so it looks like a Chanel J12, but let's be honest, I don't think Joe Exotic was rocking a white ceramic Chanel.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it could have been a variety of other smaller like Walmart kind of brands.
Yeah.
But I think that there was a lot of Invicta. And there was like a fake Breitling.
Yeah, there was definitely a fake
There was a
Breitling.
fake Rolex Deep Sea.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just garbage. I mean, there's nothing good about it, but it was, I mean, the show was amazing.
I mean, nothing against Oklahoma, but yeah, it was kind of like what you would expect in deep down Oklahoma.
Yeah, but I never, Viv and I, we did a cross-country road trip last summer. We drove Route 66 from Chicago to Santa Monica in our Volkswagen Beetle. And we kept seeing all those signs for like, oh, pet a tiger, see a tiger cub. And you always see these signs and you think, okay, well, that sounds fun, just not for me. But, seeing inside of it, you're just like, holy cow, like the level of egos that these people deliver just because they're they're interacting with these wild animals. And Carol Baskins definitely killed her husband.
Killed her husband 100%.
for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think I will trust anybody who says she didn't kill her husband. Like,
I mean, the evidence is just overwhelming.
Be a first date question.
Oh yeah. That's yeah. If you're on Tinder, you just change your bio, like swipe left if you think Carol Baskins didn't kill her husband.
The guy that was like hired, like I guess like the mercenary that was hired to kill Carol. It's like he's just hanging out. Like he's not. I don't understand why he's not in jail, but there's a lot of things I don't understand about that show, but I still loved it.
But also the fact that, like, imagine they show up to this guy's hotel room and they're like, hey, we want to interview you for the series finale, talking about your involvement. And he's like, hold on, let me just get in the bathtub.
Of course.
Like, who said, yeah, man, let's do this? It's amazing.
Who doesn't
television.
want to do an interview in the bathtub?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for the feature film on this one.
Oh yeah, same. Apparently, the actors that are fighting to get a spot on the film. Like they were saying, Kate McKinnon wanted.
Yeah, Kate McKinnon's there, and everyone's like, David Spade or Rob Lowe or whatever for. I mean, I do think that David Spade's a solid choice for Joe
really
Dirt.
wants to play Joe Exotic.
Yeah.
So
who's that?
I think that would be amazing. Jared Leto.
That would be great.
Oh, Jared Leto's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he really wants to play Joe Exotic, which I think would be perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, his Joker impression was different.
I don't know.
So
Heath Ledger is my Joker.
Not my Joker.
Let's see.
Oh man. That is
Well,
so funny.
getting back to a little bit of watch talk. I know you guys followed along this past weekend. That was this past weekend, right? Watches and Wonders.
Yes.
Yeah, that was. I have to remind myself what day it is. What was your thoughts? What did you guys think?
All the news surrounding, for the past 6 months, as a media, we've been covering the actual industry news of the shows than the actual brands exhibiting at the shows, right? Like with the squabbling between Watches and Wonders and Basel World, and with, Basel World now with Rolex and Patek and everyone exiting, and, what's going to happen to the future of Basel World, and now also what's going to happen to Watches and Wonders, but also with, with COVID, what's the future of these shows? So I thought it was really smart that Watches and Wonders got in front of that and said, you know what, great. We're going to, at the same dates that we were going to already hold this show, let's go digital. Let's introduce this, digital experience for the brands. It's the first time doing it. There's always going to be, glitches and, kinks, but I thought that the brands that were participating in it, there was a solid product offering. There was good product, exciting stuff. I was overall, I was pretty impressed. Viv, what do you think?
I was also pretty impressed. I was not expecting, however, to have the show happening kind of at the same time. I was kind of expecting a digital version, but I was never expecting at the same time where the show was supposed to happen in the first place, and we were all supposed to be in Switzerland. But the novelties were pretty cool. I was pretty impressed with IWC with the Portugieser. I actually kind of fell in love with the Cartier Maillon, even though it's a quartz watch, so I'm sorry. But it looks really darn cool. I wish that it was mechanical, but that's, you can't ask too much of a jewelry watch either. Panerai had the magnificent tourbillon for Mike Horn, right? That was also kind of crazy on the watch side of this year.
Yeah.
How about you girls?
Absolutely insane. Yeah, I mean, I think that it was interesting to see. I think that it was refreshing because as you mentioned, when you're talking about how Watchonista started, like the industry's always been very hesitant to social media and to the internet. So to see them embrace it and just kind of take advantage of it. And I think that's kind of what's so cool about this time. There's not a lot to look forward to right now, unfortunately, but I think that really kind of provided a breath of fresh air. And you guys doing like all the Watchonista home videos, I'm seeing so many brands embrace that. Like it's part of the really neat thing about this time is you see so many brands embracing this technology. But JLC knocked it out of the park to me, for sure. Like, I'm obsessed with that steel moon phase. Oh, what was it now that I am talking about it? I can't remember what it's called. Well, dang.
Is that the master?
The new the JLC Master Control. Yeah,
they did a good job with that one. They really needed. I have one, and they really needed to have improved the mechanism. Even though, trust me, it's an amazing mechanism. I had never had a problem with it. I have it for 10 years now. But I'm really happy that they embrace also the silicone. They embrace like new complications, and we have the 70 hours power reserve as well now, which is really useful if you want to change watches from time to time and. Every 2 days change watches.
Yeah. Yeah, no, most definitely. That one, that was definitely my favorite. I watched they did like a Zoom earlier this morning that just kind of explained a lot of their new releases. So it was really interesting to watch for sure.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty well job.
What about you, Kat?
I definitely loved Cartier. I like a lot of the offerings that they put out, and then that Vacheron, the overseas, the all gold with the blue dial, that was beautiful. Yeah, I think Panerai did a good job too. I liked I wanted to see more from them, but I know I can't ask too much. But I did like what they did and what they put out. I know it wasn't anything, any really far advancements or anything like that. But I did think the watches were beautiful, and I liked the all black and the lume, and I thought that was really cool. Their advertising was awesome as well. But I thought the show went well. It seemed like a lot of people were following along. So I'm excited to see kind of where this goes in the future and how things are going to be. And I guess what is the next show? I'm sure you guys know better than us.
Well, I mean, the next show is really supposed to be Couture, right? And that was canceled. Okay. But then we also saw the next show is technically on the calendar would probably be Basel in January, Feb, when they rescheduled the dates. But
the next big show.
if they do, I mean, let's see. I mean, knock on wood. I mean, I think that it's in everyone's best interest to have successful shows and to have all these shows prosper, but we're also entering a new age. I think, with the pandemic, we're going to see so many changes to our society. I mean, I even, watching television for the past 2 months, when you see people embrace or shake hands or hug or high five on television, you kind of cringe nowadays, because with all this social distancing and all this, I don't want to touch people. I don't want to be around people. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be really hard to kind of fix that psyche. And I think we need to have a big show, a successful show where brands can exhibit all their novelties, but also we need to embrace digital and we need to embrace social media. And that's what I thought was great about Watches and Wonders, that they were able to really bring this out and offer it to the masses. Whereas it's not just for this privileged few press where they get this exclusive invite and they're flown out and they stay in a top hotel and they're treated, they're wined and dined. Here's all of our product. It's completely democratic. Here's everything. If you like it, great. Yeah. If you don't. And I really love that they've embraced that. And I think that can only go further. I mean, other industries have been doing this for years. I mean, I stopped working at Apple in 2007, 2008. And, when I worked at Apple, one of the biggest things was Steve Jobs, keynotes. And, every 6 months, Steve would come out and release all the new product. There'd be a webcast broadcast to the internet. Press was there, but the next day it was in stores. It's available for purchase online immediately. Of course, he was a very charismatic CEO that had a reality distortion field that kind of surrounded him. But this was something that happened decades ago. And I've told every watch brand this. I'm like, you guys should just be there doing webcasts, doing these live sessions. And I think that the COVID has really forced their hand into embracing that world.
Yeah, for sure.
We had Breitling already doing webcasts and for their launches and everything. It was, of course, nothing like Steve Jobs, although this year they did manage to launch their new Navy timer and actually have it available at the retailers the day after, which was really quite big, I have to say. I'm kind of proud of that moment. Yeah, literally they launched on the 16th and on 17th they were available on most of retailers online. So that was a cool thing. The Super Ocean Rainbow is only available in August, but has been already sold out though.
I really want that watch.
I love that watch. It is so cool.
I thought Breitling did an amazing job with their release and their videos, and I thought it was very, very well done. I was very impressed.
It was a nice change from what we used to see, which is a great way to embrace the fact that, we can't see each other and everything. So here, have a YouTube link and watch our novelties being revealed by our CEO in 20 minutes. That was perfect. That was great timing, great time. We all got the assets. They were the Navy timers were available the day after, which was amazing. You can't ask more than that.
No, you can't. Well, as we begin to close out the show, we have to ask you guys. We talked to VJ over at Oris a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned the story of an Oris bear at your wedding, and he wouldn't tell us the story, but he told us to ask you. So we're interested to hear the story behind the Oris bear.
We've not met Oris Bear yet, but
you've never met Oris Bear?
Oh my God, girls!
No, I
know. We'll
He's
send you a
supposed to
selfie.
come honky tonking in Nashville.
It's part of the family somehow.
No, I mean honestly, it's since we started Watchonista in the U.S., Oris has been one of those brands that's supported us since the very beginning. And, you guys know, like we do, that VJ is just such an awesome advocate for the brand. And he's really been able to place the brand in the market here in the United States in such a unique way that, has really, surged, so much popularity to Oris. And I love VJ, and, I'm happy to call him a friend as well. But, Oris Bear has always been, one of those, I don't know, what do you call it, centerpieces in our lives, where, every year we go to Couture. Couture always ends up, before Couture every year, and you ladies have to get to Couture next year. But on the night before Couture, every year, it's VJ, myself, Adam Craniotis, and a few other guys, and we always end up at one of my favorite places in Vegas, Slots of Fun. And we always end up playing beer pong at Slots of Fun until 4 a.m. on the night prior to Couture. And we have Noble Roman's breadsticks and pitchers of beer, and it's just fantastic. But Couture, they always have Oris Bear, and then they always have this huge Oris party. where you can take selfies with Oris Bear, and they have got a selfie booth and all this stuff set up. And this Oris Bear, I mean, he's got some miles on him. He's been all around the United States.
Oh yeah. He's been kidnapped.
And
everything.
I mean, then but what I love about VJ is like, you literally, if it's a retailer event or if it's a collector group event or whatever it is, and VJ's like, okay, I'm bringing the bear. But VJ doesn't just like ship the bear. He gets on the Metro North train from Connecticut with the bear in the seat next to him, takes the train into the city with the bear and with a dolly, straps this thing in to a dolly and rolls it up Park Avenue. And like and that's what like so shocked me, because one time like I wasn't meeting VJ or anything like that, but I'm walking down Park Avenue and I see Oris Bear walking up Park Avenue. I'm thinking, okay, there's gonna be some kind of courier behind this thing or whatever. No, it's VJ. Just walking with the bear. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, oh yeah, we're doing a Red Bar thing and I got the bear, and I was like, okay, I love this guy. Like, I mean, it's like one of the hardest working CEOs in the watch industry, and here's this guy rolling his own brand bear up, and that was just so endearing to me. And we made a joke, I think, at Couture when we were all in the selfie booth with Oris Bear. I'm like, well, we're getting married in a couple months. Like, can we have Oris Bear at our wedding? And VJ's like, yeah, noted. And not thinking anything of it. And, Viv and I ended up, we had a very small wedding here in New York, and we had our wedding reception at
Blue Smoke
Barbecue.
Oh my gosh, that is one of my favorite places in New York.
It's so good. And we had like 40 people there. It was perfect. And Vivi's parents came in from Switzerland, and my mom has been a bit sick, and but she was able to make the trip from Indiana, and we had everyone there, and it was amazing. But we walk up the stairs to this upstairs reception area, and there's Oris Bear with a fancy mustache, and
waiting
he was, like,
on us,
holding like the bin for cards. And then we ended up like, after the reception, there were still about 15 of us left. We went to a local bar, and VJ and his girlfriend Erin, we put Oris Bear on the dolly and roll him into a bar. And, but that's the crazy thing is like, the bar manager's like, okay, is there anyone inside this? I'm going to need to see their ID. And they're like, no, it's just it's a plastic bear. And he's like,
really just a bear.
And everyone's like, why does this exist? Why is this a thing? And you're like, because it's Oris Bear. Like, everyone loves Oris Bear.
Yeah, it was kind of really much a surprise when we arrived at the reception area, and like to prepare the space before the guests arrived, that Oris Bear was the first guest to arrive and VJ was behind it. And it was like, hey, are you happy with it? I'm like, oh my God. I think I was almost in tears. It was kind of exceptional. Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah, and since then, Vijay has always been a very good friend, but like since then even more, it's been like always going the extra mile for us, and it's really nice to have his support and his friendship, I would say.
Yeah, he's a great guy. We found him very super down to earth, and a lot of respect for him.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Very much so looking forward to meeting him in person, hopefully later this year, but we'll see. Yeah, so wrapping up, what's coming up for you guys personally and for Watchonista? Like, what's kind of on the horizon, especially with everything going on right now?
Well, let's see. Personally, we're moving soon. So Viv and I are moving apartments, and trying to get something a little bit bigger, maybe outside of the city, so we can have some more space for ourselves and have a bit better quality of life. City's quite hectic and manic and outrageously expensive, so that's certainly on the horizon personally. And then for Watchonista, I mean, I think that we're both personally and professionally, I think we're excited to exit quarantine. It's been a long couple months.
Wow.
I think that we probably still at least have another month before we're out, and then probably another 6 months before things get back to normal, it seems. I mean, kind of excited for the prospect of that. I mean, Viv is turning 30 this year, so want to do something for your birthday, hopefully come July.
Thanks for reminding me.
So
is there a watch that comes along with 30?
Well, the root beer was my 30th anniversary watch, but it came a year early. So
yeah, we'll put our names on the list thinking, okay, they're going to call us in a year, and they called us in like 2 months. I'm like,
Yeah, we were like, when they called us, I was like, oops. Josh, I have a problem. But we made it work.
It's not like you could just keep it in the box.
Yeah.
But I think we have been talking about a Speedmaster, though.
Yeah.
Because I've been hearing
nice.
All kinds of things about the Speedmaster and what's coming up on the horizon and everything. And it's like, it might be a great time to buy a moon watch.
There you go.
Yeah. I feel like like Rolex and a Speedmaster. Those are two like great like birth year watches to get.
I had a
awesome.
birth year Speedmaster, but we had to part with it.
Yeah, moving to U.S. and getting married now, that bills that up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, very cool. And that's exciting. And I'm sure, with you guys moving, outside the city a little bit, especially with all that's going on and not knowing what's in store for the future, that'll be great to have a little bit more space and it'll be nice.
Yeah, and
for
be
sure.
able to go out without being cramped in those very small little stores that we have in New York.
It's impossible to socially distance. I mean, our neighborhood, supermarket, they finally started limiting people, but it's impossible to socially distance inside of these super tight little spaces.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I can imagine. Where's the first place you guys are going to go? Like restaurant, wherever? What's the
first thing we're going to do when quarantine breaks?
Yeah.
Sushi.
I think I would agree with food. I think we're going to go have the most amazing sushi we've ever had. We're both massive fans of sushi. We've been to Japan together. And I think we're just having amazing omakase sushi.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. That does sound so good.
I've been craving sushi too. Because it's like the one thing that I literally cannot make. And I can't make a lot of things, let's be honest, but that's
it's
like
weird
really...
with the takeout and like, it's very much like a hands-on food and,
it's uncooked.
It's uncooked, it's raw. So like, you know what, like, let's not risk it. Let's just, save up a few bucks and go have the most amazing sushi meal ever once this ends.
Yeah.
Nice. That sounds good for sure. Well, thank you guys for coming on the podcast today. It's been so fun catching up. I know we got to hang out a little bit last year, and that was when we first met you, and which was absolutely awesome. I think you exceeded all of our expectations of meeting you guys. But it's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait. Hopefully, maybe later on this year we can see each other at an event or something.
We hope so.
Well, yeah, we look forward to it. And look us up if you ever come into the city. We'd be happy to take you out for drinks.
And
we've talked about it a few times.
Oh, see, there it is. We got to do it.
Yeah.
Flights are super cheap right now.
I heard it's a good time to fly. Oh my god.
Yeah, we bought tickets to Chicago for Wind Up in July, and not knowing, of course, if it's still going to happen or not. But the tickets were so cheap. We're like, okay, well, even if it doesn't happen, like we'll go and we'll just like stay in a hotel room all weekend or whatever. But no, we are considering. Yeah, well, we are looking at New York for later in the year too. So hopefully things get better. Knock on wood.
Yeah, Watchonista, we've got some. Hopefully once all this cloud clears, we had some really cool events planned for this year. So we'll definitely send them your way too.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. We hope y'all stay safe.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah,
it's been
definitely great. And everybody can make sure you guys head over to our website, www.10and2.com. It'll have all the notes for everything that we've talked about, as well as links over to Watchonista. And I think that's going to be it for today.
All right. Well, that is it from me.
All right. Thank you guys
Thanks,
again.
everyone.
And everybody stay safe. All right.
Stay safe. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.